Liam, brother, thanks for joining us on the show, man. How are you?
Glad to be here. Real well. How are you?
Good, man. This is the post roll. We've had the pre-roll convo. Now we're doing the real thing. Kind of the weird, like reintroduction. I've just noticed that it's kind of like a weird thing, but for those people that have just sort of dropped into the conversation, of course, we're talking about the new Idle Ruin, which is, man, I've heard it and it's fucking amazing, dude. So,
thank you.
I was mowing the lawn to it today. I was driving to it today. Like, it's a thrash death record for all occasions.
Yeah, for many occasions, and I guess we tend to see a lot of people have said that we straddle between the boundaries of thrash and death metal. So I call it Black and Death thrash, or Black and Death grind thrash, or Black and Death grind D-beat thrash, or whatever. We already have too many subgenres in metal, and it's only just getting worse.
Now we need to add at least a few more in there. It needs to be like it needs Black and Death thrash, and they go, yeah.
And it's got to have a post in there somewhere as well, and.
I love it though. Like I think there needs to be more bands like that because it ticks all the boxes for me. I love my thrashy stuff. I love my deathy shit. I love the black and stuff. Man, it's all the genres that I love all in one. So like going back though, this is something what made you want to blend all those genres together, the subgenres?
It's interesting because well, previously I played in thrash bands and a lot of sort of traditional style metal bands. And when I wanted to start my own project, which ultimately became Idle Ruin, I wasn't thinking so much about the genres consciously. And a lot of musicians will say that, but like I was thinking more about like kind of writing how I would respond as an audience member. So like,
yep.
For example, we've got some of those really D-beaty songs in there. To me, that tempo is just the perfect headbanging tempo. And, songs that have the shout back choruses and the fist pump action sort of stuff. That was basically all I had in mind when I was writing these songs. That's basically it, really. It wasn't really just a conscious sort of, a little bit of this, a little bit of that, let's all add it together. It was just writing the music that I wanted to hear, which I know is such a contrived statement, but it's kind of true and I'm not guilty of it.
It's good. I love it, dude. I love it. And I love what you're doing musically with this band because, as I said, it's all those things that I love about metal. But how are you feeling about the album coming out? It's less than a month away now, I believe, by the time this goes up. But how are you feeling about it? It's exciting, dude.
Pretty exciting. I mean, you as a musician yourself, having done recordings in the past, you get to that stage where it's like exciting, and then you've listened to the master over and over again. You start to get sick of it. But no, we're still really, really happy to get it all done, and we're looking forward to releasing it in the new year. So we want to hear what everyone else has to say about it, and share it with the world.
And it was produced and mixed by Brendan Auld at Black Blood Audio?
Black Blood, yeah.
Yeah, that's in Brisbane.
So, yeah, correct, yeah. So he Pip Brendan, he did our first EP and the split that we did, and he's done our album as well. He's done a lot of great bands, including like his own bands like Descent and Resin Tomb. He's done Pestilence, Bone Marrow, Daedric Armor recently as well, and a bunch of really awesome like death metal, hardcore crossover bands. So yeah, we went with him because we didn't really want to go with someone who had preconceived ideas of how of thrash metal. We wanted to go with a death metal guy who also had that punk background, just to get that sort of really raw, edgy sound.
How did he push you guys this time? To get the best out of you. You worked with him before, So obviously you've gone past that initial, you know, getting to know you sort of thing in the studio. But how did he get the best out of you guys this time?
Yeah, working with Pip is really good. He's not just your standard engineer where he just hits record and off you go. He'll always come up with suggestions and be like, oh, how can we make that feel a little bit better? How can we do that vocal technique a little bit better? He'll even offer like suggestions on best distortion for the amps and guitars and even, you know, bass sounds. He had like about 5 different snare drums that we trialed before we did the drums. Yeah, he'll offer suggestions. He'll take some of your own suggestions as well. But yeah, like I said, he's not that kind of traditional engineer where he just hits record, off you go. He works with you, he's good like that.
I mean, how was it writing this one, you know, compared to the first one? You know, as a drummer, as a singer as well. How was the process this time? Was it any different?
The album was a bit more of a collaborative effort between Tim, Caleb, and myself. The first 2 EPs I wrote entirely. Funny story. I've said this before in interviews, but I'll say it again. The first EP, I wrote all the songs, tabbed them all, gave them to Caleb to learn, because a lot of my music theory is based on piano, not guitar. He had to re-tab them so they'll. He had to. The old saying goes, "Don't get a drummer to write your songs for you." Well, same here. He had to rewrite them all so that he could physically play them. But yeah, this time was a bit more of a collaborative effort. Tim, Caleb, they wrote songs for this record. They came up with some great stuff. We basically wrote full songs, brought them to the table, be like, "That's sweet. Maybe change a little bit here, change a little bit there." There was one song I brought to the table. The guys were like, "Hey, can we add this riff that we came up with?" I'm like, "Absolutely, go nuts." And that's 9 songs later, and here we are.
Awesome. Well, concept-wise, though, the album, it refers to Brisbane's early days as the Moreton Bay prison colony?
The title does, yeah. So that is a recurring motif in a lot of our music, is writing about true crime and horror in Brisbane. Yep. The Fell Tyrant is a reference to the Moreton Bay penal settlement, a reference to the commandant of Patrick Logan, who was known to be quite barbaric to the prisoners. And the front cover is him entering hell with the souls of the prisoners waiting for him.
That's cool. Yeah, I was wondering what that was. I kept looking at it going, "Oh, that's so brutal." But man, it's interesting though, because I don't think, I mean, when lyrics with death metal and thrash and stuff, it's usually about the system, you know, and fighting the man and things like that. So I find it interesting that you guys have gone down that road of true crime and especially local law, because that's something that really interests me, especially I guess the Gold Coast stuff down here as well. So I don't know too much about, you know, the Brisbane law and stuff. Is that something that you sort of tend to dig into when prepping songs, lyrics and stuff like that?
Yeah, and it's not the only thing that we write about. Like Sycophant, which was our recent single, that was really about, it's all in the title, sycophants. Delta hexatoxin was about, you know, how one bad apple can spoil a bunch, and that can be applied to many different systems, whether it be an ecosystem, a social community, or a physical system. But I don't know. Local Brisbane history has always fascinated me, and it was always, there were so many different stories that were not being told, and I felt, well, you know, we can write about them. That you get a lot of Brisbane punk bands that sing. I think the Dreamkillers have sung a few good songs about Brisbane law and stuff like that. But so many good stories that are just getting buried and almost forgotten. And I guess we're just not letting them get forgotten.
Have you ever gone on one of those tours? You know, where you go the city tours and they share all the haunted places and stuff like that?
Matter of fact, yes. The founder of those tours and the guy who writes a lot of the books where I've first heard about all of these stories, he actually came to one of our shows this year. Cool. And yeah, that was really cool. Like finally meeting this guy and him hearing there was this, death metal band in Brisbane writing stuff that he too was keeping these stories alive. And no, it was great to meet that. Jack Sim is his name, and it was really good to meet him.
Are there any other sort of lore or stories that you'd want to draw from for future releases, or maybe even work with him on a concept, possibly?
Yeah, so I've got a few books on the shelf right behind me. So there's plenty of material to draw from, and lots of other like stories I've just heard from chatter and banter that we can always draw from. And again, it's just such a rich history that is almost forgotten, and plenty of folk tales that we can that should be spoken about.
I agree. I actually want to do some digging of some stuff down here and do a podcast that deals with a lot of the local stuff that I'm interested.
Maybe we should dig into the well of Gold Coast folklore as well. I mean, yeah.
Hey man, there's some shit that's happened down here, I tell you. But that's for another podcast. But do you have one story in particular that you've drawn from that has influenced you musically the most?
I'm going to have to say it's The Devil's Trade, our first single from the first EP. That was actually a song I'd originally written for Malachite back in the day, the band I used to play for.
Yeah.
So that was probably my first sort of foray into a lot of the local history. Was I read this book called Haunted Brisbane. It was by Jack Sim, and the story was about a printing office, the government printing office in the city. Had two statues of Lucifer on top of the building, and the rumor was that if workers didn't remove their wedding rings, shit would happen to them. One young guy ignored the warnings. And you've got to remember, these printing presses were like the size of a room at the time. The machine jammed. He had to crawl under to try and fix it. As he was trying to fix it, the machine came back to life and crushed and killed him. And spat out his wedding ring, apparently. And I made the mistake of reading that story 2 a.m. home alone. Scared the shit out of me. And what do I do the next day? Write a bloody song about it. But that was the song. That was some lyrics I had in my back pocket for a long time. And when I decided to start the band, that was pretty much the first sort of thing I went to. Was like, okay, I'm going to bring this rejected Malachite song out. And yeah. So in terms of influencing musically, maybe that one.
Yeah, I love that. That's a cool one, man. That's a cool one. I love hearing all those stories about the what's the arcade that's in there? What was the place that used to have the roller coaster up the top?
Maya Center, Tops.
Yeah, Tops. That's it, man.
Yeah.
I used to go there all the time, man. Ride the thing, and man, I love hearing stories about that place. Apparently, it's haunted as fuck. But yeah, that's pretty cool. I love all that stuff, man. I'm all about it. But in terms of your drumming and singing at the same time, look, I can't even do this at the same time. So what's the trick? What's the...
Well, when I started Idle I thought, well, I could either learn bass and start learning singing over that, or I could just stick to the instrument I already know. And, wherever I move, there's some flexibility there. And when I was drumming, when I was doing a lot of session drumming for a bunch of different bands in the past, my points of reference were the vocals, and I would sing along silently as I was playing along, so I knew where I was. So I kind of got it from that, but also I'd done backing vocals while drumming before. And Malachite, we played our album launch in Brisbane, and then the guys went and partied until like 2 p.m. the next day. And we had to play the Gold Coast the following night. And our singer, Muzz, he lost his voice. So I kind of just winged it and sang and drummed in his place. And I'm just like, hang on, I can actually do this. So as for tips and advice, it's just practice. Like anything, it's just practice. I mean, singing and playing guitar is two independent things at once. And also, like, you're using 4 limbs when you're drumming. You add vocals to that, it's technically just what's one more. So
what's one more? Yeah, just flailing around in time. Yeah, see, I couldn't even do that. I can't even play a basic beat, but I can yell things. Yeah.
No, I just yell things, man. It's all good.
Well, man, it looks like you've actually had a pretty good year, though. You played some kick-ass shows, did some traveling, and you played Frankie's Pizza, one of the last ones, like we were. So how was that for you? How was the year?
Yeah, we've had a pretty good year. It started off a little bit how you're going, because I mean we had our East Coast tour booked in January, and that got cancelled, well, postponed, because we all got COVID, and then the next gig that we had booked after that got cancelled because of floods. But then the next gig we were going to do was the New Dead Festival in Adelaide, and that was incredible. We played at like 2 p.m. but to a packed room, and that was amazing. Like, and we eventually did do our East Coast tour in September, October, and we did Brisbane, Melbourne, Adelaide, Sydney. And yeah, Adelaide is slowly becoming one of my favorite places to play. It's just, we did a show with the Shatterbrain boys.
Yeah,
I think you had them. Yeah.
Shout out those boys. Yeah.
Hey, what's up, Ryan? and Ryan was like, "Hey, you're flying out tomorrow?" I said, "No, we're flying out in a couple of days." He goes, "Good, you're playing a house party at mine tomorrow night," and that was probably one of the funnest shows that we had on the tour. But Sydney almost didn't happen. We booked our flights for like 11 o'clock to fly down, and I wake up at 6 a.m. with a message on my phone saying your gate is open.
Oh,
so they changed the flights without even notifying us, but we managed to get it good in the end. We got our flights later in the day. We got to the venue just in time before we had to play, and then the next night we played Frankie's. We did 2 shows in Sydney. The next night we played at Frankie's, and it was good, but it was sad because we knew the place was going soon, and we had a really good time. Partied until about 2 a.m. and caught up with a friend who I hadn't seen in like 12 years, and she was like, "Oh, let's go to King's Cross," and we're like, "No, time for bed."
We had a night like that.
It was a good time, and the bands that we played with, Livewire and Head in a Jar, great dudes and fun to play with.
Well, you're not done yet, are you? You're wrapping up the year with Descent, Pestilence, and Crave Death on December 28th.
That is correct. Yeah, the Bearded Lady. So we've got that, and then we're entering the year with our album launch on January 21.
Yeah.
And, we haven't announced anything official yet, but we do have some interstate shows lined up. And for those of you who have been thinking, I'll check out Idle Ruin one day, you might want to come to these shows because they will be our last in Australia before I leave for Berlin.
You're going to Berlin?
Mm-hmm.
What are you doing in Berlin?
Moving to live there.
What?
Yeah.
Wow, dude. So what's okay? That's I didn't see that coming. So when's that happening?
April.
Wow, dude. So what's that mean for Idle Ruin? You all relocating, or what's going to happen?
I intend on continuing Idle Ruin when I move.
Yep.
I had never actually intended to start Idle Ruin initially here. My partner and I were planning on moving to the UK back in 2020.
Yep.
And then I was in the midst of creating the Idle Ruin demo, which became the EP. But that was going to be a demo that I was going to hand to people when I got to the UK to get a lineup with.
Yep.
And we all thought COVID was just going to be a few months. Wait for it till 2 years later.
Mm.
But no, we've had some good times here in Australia. I do intend on continuing the project when I get over.
That's awesome, man. Hey, congrats. You got a big wide world
Thanks.
out there, brother. especially Europe. Man, that's the dream. Hey, that for me, that's the dream would be to like tour Europe and Japan.
Yeah, it's been a dream of mine as well to play Europe, and hopefully we can achieve that.
You can do it. You'll do it. No worries. No worries at all. So that's exciting, man. That's exciting. And that album launch, that's with Regular Gonzalez. Good cats. Great.
Yeah, wearing their shirt right now.
Hey, there you go. Is it pronounced Greek?
Greek.
See, this is I gotta learn how to speak English. And Hell's Horizon, who are also launching their release as well at the Beetle. It's gonna be a good one, man.
Yeah. Grieg, Regular Gonzalez were awesome. Glad we could get them on the bill because we've been wanting to play with them for ages. And Hell's Horizon are launching their debut EP. I've got the flyer right here.
Hey, there you go. Nice.
So
January 21.
Yeah, hopefully a lot of you can come to that.
That'll be awesome. Are you gonna come play Goldie? Got plans for the Goldie at all before you?
Not at the moment, but we're working on it.
Okay, that'd be cool. Cool to see you down here before you fuck off. That's for sure.
Yeah, but last time we played Goldie, that was with Shatterbrain when they came.
Yeah, that was at Vinny's.
Vinny's, yeah, which is awesome venue. But we played there with Entrapment and Shatterbrain, and it was a good time. Yeah,
I was there.
You were there.
I was there. Yeah, I was a bit. How's it going? Had a few beers, but I was there. It was a good time. It was a damn good time. But of course, I mean, you got all that happening. What is there anything else? Any other sneaky news you can drop? Some new merch or some what do you got?
Yeah, currently we've got our we've got 2 runs of shirts at the moment. The Delta Hexatoxin shirts, the single that we've just been making lots and lots of memes about. We've got to come up with some new fresh memes for the new single.
Yep.
And then also the Gods of Glass shirts. We're looking to get some more shirts done pretty soon for the album. So yeah, see what else we can put together.
Awesome, man. Awesome.
Some merch packages for the launch and might throw in a competition or something like we did with the vinyls with did you see that one?
No. What was the yeah. Fill us in.
It was the competition we had with because our guitarist Caleb is tall. It was like guess how tall he is in CDs, and that was we got a lot of great responses to that. But that was for the very first pressing of I think one of the test prints of the vinyl that we gave away for So
Man, that is awesome. That is is the Fell Tyrant coming out on Vine?
We've had a lot of requests for it. At the moment, we're just focusing on CD and digital, and then we're going to work on vinyl later.
Yeah, awesome. Put me down. 40 copies.
Waiting lists for vinyl are not always guaranteed at the moment, so we're just going to focus on the 2 formats that we know will have quick turnaround, and then we'll do vinyl later.
Excellent. Well, dude, it's been really cool hanging out with you on the show. We've been saying I'm going to do it for a long time, and we finally made it happen. I appreciate you hanging out, dude. We'll have all the links to the Fell Tyrant down here. January, it's going to crush everything. It's awesome. As I said, for mowing the lawn, driving, thrashing, drinking. It's an album for all different occasions.
All different occasions.
Yes.
You can brush your teeth to it. You can
man, get it done real quick.
Eat breakfast, whatever meal of the day you want. I don't know.
Hey, it gets you through. It gets you through. Yeah, it's fucking awesome. I love it. But bro, hey, I'll see you very, very soon. And thanks again for hanging out.
Thanks for having me. And I see you rocking out the Death Clock shirt. I remember your birthday gig.
That's right. That's right. I'm wearing. Yeah, I just grabbed it. I was wearing some grubby old shirt before, and I was like, oh, I gotta look somewhat presentable. Straight out the pile. But yeah.